Okay, I finished recording the top 10 Canadians of all time. Well, Canada is only like 200 years old anyway, or something like that, since all the provinces united. Um, and I did now the top 100 of all time according to Hart, briefly, and then before that, the top 10 in more detail. Although, I mean, sometimes, like even St. Thomas Aquinas, he doesn't not even mention it top 100, and I think he should be there. It's very, very important. Okay, so I just gonna record. I don't look very good here anyway, but I'm just gonna, maybe in the end I'll switch it to audio or put some other background. But I'm gonna record now the top most influential people of A&E. Maybe I don't remember. I don't remember all of them. I only remember. I only remember the top 8. Oh, the Son of the movie just finished now. I don't remember the top 8 more or less in the right order. 2 of them are missing. I don't know them. But the top 100. Okay, quickly. Well, the top 100. The top 100. You had. Okay, so they included Shakespeare, the Beatles, Elvis, um, included Genghis Khan and Fleming, and included Einstein. Well, let's leave that later. And well, even living people like um, Bill Gates. Well, I don't know if he should be there because, well, there's a movie about Bill Gates, and it seems like he did not write the operating system Windows or DOS. But DOS, he got it from someone, and he was did a business deal. He got the operating system DOS, and he had to pay him $100,000 or something, according to the movie. He didn't even have the money. He got it from IBM by contracting it to them. So I think he went to Harvard, but he dropped out. Anyway, but that's what the movie says anyway. There's also, so he's on the list, and there's other living people. But in the top, I think 25 was oh no, yeah, I think maybe I think another one in the top 10. Okay, so I think oh, maybe another one. Yeah, I think maybe I found them. Um, Number 25, I think, was Mozart. I think Mozart was Einstein's favorite musician. Einstein used to play the violin, and he used to visit also Max Born, both physicists, and Max Born used to play the piano. Recently, I became very interested in the piano. I saw some girls playing piano, and it's very interesting. One girl, she tied, not only they crossed their hands sometimes, but she was actually playing the piano so fast you can hardly see her hands move. Um, when I was taking a course on typing, I was typing very fast. Too type well, that not too fast for a manual typewriter. But it seems like maybe her even too on the piano. She was typing. She was playing too fast. It didn't sound. It's like because it's not electronic. Even though it doesn't share the same spot, I think it won't sustain the note maybe. I don't know. If you go too fast. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know much about instrumental music. I took one course on music in high school. Okay, anyway, so uh, Mozart was number 25. Of course, I think there were other ones like Beethoven or Bach or something on the list. Okay, so the top 10, you can compare this to Hart, although this is only for the last 1,000 years. So, number one, he puts Gutenberg uh, for the last 1,000 years because he invented the printing press. Like I said, maybe though the Chinese invented it first, but don't forget the world was it was very little communication between different parts of the world. So even if you invent something, doesn't you might have to invent it for your own area because other people don't know what goes on somewhere else. No communication, no transportation. They said the computers went through many revolutions in the 20th century, but that's why the price went down millions of dollars. You can get a lot smaller, more cheaper, partly because of the invention of the electronic transistor. But they said we need similar revolutions in transportation because automobiles, planes, and all that still use fuels, and very expensive to buy them. Of course, one day we'll have nuclear power, but for now it's chemical power. You use gasoline, which is combustion, or uses air for combustion. So we're still waiting for revolutions in transportation, although they came a long way since the Wright brothers, but there's still a long way to go. I mean, if you see the space shuttle, even that was primitive. You see the huge fuel tanks. Well, now they're retired. They don't have any more shuttles, but huge fuel tanks just for takeoff. Okay, so for computers, anyway, so Gutenberg is considered number one. Okay. Anyway, um, so for the printing press, movable printing press, they said, now if it was inspired by the potato press. Number two, they say Sir Isaac Newton. So again, like calculus and unifying for physics, unifying the cosmos and the earth, but only for gravity, not electromagnetism or nuclear forces. I don't know, and then top five also has, I don't know if exact order, but has Darwin, theory of evolution, one simple idea. I don't know if it's even proven, but and natural selection, survival of the fittest. Although some people point out that people help each other, even animals help each other, so it's not exactly survival of the fittest. And sometimes when you help people, they actually can help you back later on. I think in the movie Star Trek, Mr. Spock sacrificed his life to save the Enterprise, and in the end, I think they sacrificed a lot in order to help bring him back. So also there's Luther in the top five for Christianity, like Protestants part of it. And there's also Shakespeare, which a lot of people say was a brilliant writer, and he was a great psychologist, and the way he wrote. Although I don't know, for example, I just read a bit of Romeo and Juliet and Shakespeare's King Lear. It's really old English, and I don't know if I like it that much. But Romeo and Juliet is a very short play. What do you expect? I mean, they died. They took poison, I think, around age 12 or something, because they were dating young. Their parents were against their marriage, so it's a very short play, really. Although I think they made movies out of it. Okay, so I'm not sure. I have 8. I said. I think the ones that I'm missing are Hitler, which is also influential, even though they say he had a bad influence. but was very influential. I mean, he was in the Second World War. He was a decorated soldier, and they put sanctions about on Germany. He was Austrian really, but later he became the leader of Germany. Well, Germany went to World War One because somebody killed the future leader of Austria, and I think that's what began the First World War. And Germany joined Austria because they were allies. So, in the end, Germany lost, and they were penalized for it, and they had sanctions and all that. And the Second World War, Germany was very, very popular at that time. I mean, even the greatest scientists and philosophers were there at that time. And then in the 20th century, the beginning, Einstein was there, and all those many others. So Germany was very, very, very powerful, and Jewish people were very rich, also living there, and a lot of scientists also and philosophers. So suddenly, then after and during just before the Second World War, I mean, you also had the Great Depression in the world, but the Second World War, Germany was going bankrupt. So I think that was part of the reason why there was a war. Um, they would have died of starvation. I mean, anyway. So there was a Second World War, and millions of people died um, in that war, and a lot of damage, and a lot of money spent of weapons and all that. And United States developed the nuclear bomb, the atom bomb, not the H bomb, and they didn't use it against Germany, but they used it against Japan. And anyway, so Hitler was stopped. It was I think Russia fought him, and also United States and Great Britain. I think maybe Hitler made the same mistake as Napoleon because he attacked Russia during the winter, and he could not survive the winter because the battle took much longer than he thought. That's why. So that was Hitler, and then I think Marx is also on the list of top 10 because of communism. I mean, he influenced China and USSR and all that. Other countries also for economics. Well, the idea of creating unions so you don't take advantage of your employees, don't exploit your employees, and also that you could have a revolution. So you have because very few people are rich, and you have the working class, so you want to have more fairness, and you can go on strikes. I mean, if you don't get paid enough, and you can also, or if they ask you to do dangerous jobs, you can actually unite with the other workers, so you have power like that. Because maybe few people have the power, but there's strength in numbers, so you can create unions, and you can go on strikes and etc. I think okay. So number 8 is Einstein, in the top 10 most influential people of the last 1,000 years. He alone created the general theory of relativity. Though really, he used a lot of new mathematics and a lot of physics that existed. So he did not really do it alone. And around, I think number 9 is Galileo. He criticized Aristotle's physics, and he helped prove Copernicus' model of the universe, and he got into trouble with the church because of that. Actually, I'm not sure. No, I'm not sure if Kepler is on the list of top 10. No, anyway. And Copernicus, I think, is number 10. I'm not sure. Copernicus gave us the system of that the Earth goes around the sun instead of the sun around the Earth, and that the Earth spins. First of all, I don't even know if that's correct, but that's what they say. even if it is, I don't know if it's such a big deal. Okay, if the Earth goes around the sun goes around the Earth. Also, they think it's a big deal for religion because they think if God exists, then we should be at the center of the universe. Not true. I mean, in some ways, the solar system could be at the center of the universe, and then um, if the sun is at the center, then we go around it. I mean, there's no big deal. Or on the other hand, now they say the universe is expanding, so maybe actually we were kicked out of paradise, but now the Earth is actually going back to paradise. It's not really staying in orbit because uh, not only do we go around the sun, but the sun also goes around the center of the galaxy or something every several million years, 250 million years or something. And they're even saying that actually now, because of new observation, well, that was one of Einstein's mistakes. He thought that the universe was static. Later, he admitted that no, it's expanding. Now they're saying that even because of observations of nebula or something, that the universe is actually accelerating because there's no time for it, because they believe in the Big Bang. So there's no time for the universe to have gotten as huge as it is today. Well, they believe in the speed limit of light, according to Einstein's special relativity. Although Max Born said, according to general relativity, it could be faster than the speed of light. But in special relativity, you have a limit of light. So that's what they're saying, that even though they believe the universe is over 14 billion years old, it's still accelerating today after a Big Bang, which I find very hard to believe. But they're physicists; they're not going to bring in theology. So I think, if anything, maybe it helps to refute the Big Bang, because there's just not enough time for the universe to become as big as it is. Because they say it's still accelerating, but the other alternative is that no, the universe is really well, it's expanding, because even God knows. I mean, even Einstein knew eventually that if the universe is not expanding, it would collapse because of the force of gravity. So I think the universe is expanding, but I don't think it's accelerating after 14 billion years or whatever. So I use that as one of my proofs of the existence of God, that really the universe had to be created with all the stars or galaxies dispersed, because there was no time for it to assume the distribution it has today. Because according to physicists, they measured the distance of the nebulas, and they're too far away. So I mean, it doesn't seem like there was a Big Bang after all. While the physicists are not going to say, okay, well, we were wrong, give up the Big Bang and bring God into the equation, because they're physicists. So I say, okay, well, maybe that's one proof, and that's like a scientific proof of the existence of God based on the new physics, and say that God proves the creations, and therefore proves God exists, because it shows that the universe was created and dispersed with all the stars or galaxies. Okay, and that's anyway. Okay, so these are the top 10, and there's other, I don't know if there's others saying so anyway, but this A&E biography of the millennium lists 100 of the top people of the last 1,000 years, and it also includes musicians. Okay, but it doesn't list. Well, some of them are hard because they're so recent. It's very hard to have influence if you're very young or whatever. But I don't know if you should include Gene Roddenberry for Star Trek. I mean, now it's going 55 years, and now it's very influential. It's going now. It's becoming again. It's thriving even more. and you can still see the old episodes. You have Star Trek: The Next Generation, Star Trek: Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Voyager, and Star Trek Enterprise. I think even Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda is a Star Trek TV series. And now you have the movies again, and now Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek Picard, and all these other ones coming out. And I think Star Trek the Strange New Worlds is coming out next month. Whatever. I think it's going to have with Captain Picard, and we will bring back Mr. Spock. And you're going to have number one. He's going to be, uh, well, when Gene Roddenberry wanted to put Majel Barrett, who became his wife later, they didn't accept it because they didn't want to have a woman as the first officer in those days. That was 1966 or 1964. So, but now in Strange New World, they're going to have a woman as the first officer, and Mr. Spock is going to be the science officer, I think. Times has changed. Like half of doctors now maybe are women. So times have changed. I mean, 100 years ago, women didn't even go to university. Okay, so maybe Roddenberry should be on the list, and even Berman. I think Berman, Rick Berman also took up the Star Trek series later, and he did a lot. Worked on hundreds and hundreds of episodes and helped create new Star Trek spin-off series and movies. So maybe Rick Berman and others, many other people. And there's hundreds and hundreds of writers on Star Trek. I have thousands and thousands of notes on Star Trek alone, plus on a lot of notes on Einstein notes, which is physics, which is the basis of engineering anyway. And also I have a lot of notes on philosophy, which you need. In the end, Gene Roddenberry saw himself as a philosopher. And also, you have a lot of notes on music, like Olivia Newton-John theory of love and all that. And also a lot of notes on computers. I don't know if Charles Babbage maybe should be on the list. Some people see him as the father of the computer. Charles Babbage, he was a mathematician. Although some people say his computer was really more like a calculator, but still, they discovered his design at Harvard in the 20th century, and that's what really got the computer industry going. And of course, also the discovery of the electronic transistor by Shockley and all those, they got a Nobel Prize, really transformed the computer industry. Okay, so I don't know if maybe these guys who invented transistors should be on this list also. Shockley and what I don't know, these guys, because I mean, everything was made very small. And one doctor, I think, said that the greatest invention of the 20th century was really the MRI. I was surprised to hear that, but it uses computers, but he says that it changed medicine. I mean, you can see things in the body like never before, and he thinks that I don't know if he's the director of radiology at the Jewish General Hospital or MRI. I think he says that one day you'll use MRI for everything in medicine for diagnosis. Right now, it's very expensive, but and also it's very dangerous because of a very strong magnetic field. It uses a computer and all that, you can see it, but I think he says you use MRI soon for everything. Now it's a very expensive machine now, but of course, price of computers are coming down and all that. But although maybe on the list, Shockley should be because computer transistor, which caused integrated circuits and all that, that completely transformed the whole world. So maybe they should be on this list also. For invention of the electronic transistor. Well, that's a simple thing, PNP or NPN or whatever, but it replaced vacuum tubes, which were very inefficient and used a lot of energy, and replaced before that relays and switches and all that. Babbage couldn't build a computer because he only had wooden parts. He couldn't build a computer, but he designed the inference engine and the analytical engine. Before that, he was a mathematician, like I said. Okay, so that's basically it. I don't know if what else you can add, but I'm sure there's some people who I'm missing on the list. I don't know if you should add Hegel and Kant. They added him, but they didn't for the wrong reason. I mean, his critique of pure reason, and should add Maimonides, Averroes, and Aquinas, and should add uh, many other, I don't know, many others, of course. Okay, I'll stop here. Let's see.